Got our Old Man Emu lift kit for 95 Mitsubishi Montero. I'm told on the pre-95 Monteros, the torsion bars are a little bit smaller. Obviously there's two of everything. I unboxed one of each. These springs, pretty beefy. Powder coating's really nice. It says Old Man Emu on it, you know, so you can flex on people. You know, it's all about the flex, right? $34 3/4. The rear, take this thing off real fast. I don't know if you can see, but there's two nuts. One is a locking nut. Yeah, like I said, we'll do it like that. Oh, great, it's loose. Slide that bad boy out. You want to probably hold on to that just in case something goes wrong later. That was pretty frustrating. Compress this bad boy down. All right, we're free. We need 24mm wrench. Get this guy on here if you can, and then we'll hit it with a socket from the other side. Don't use power tools if you don't have to, but sometimes you have to. Try to heat up this nut. To expand the nut, we'll see a little bit of smoke. That's totally fine. You don't have to do this. It's just gonna make life easier because this bad boy's probably freaking stuck. So watch out for brake lines and fuel lines and things like that. So this metal's gonna be hot. Watch your fingers. Right, check this out, folks. Whammo bammo. See how easy that was? Nobody's crying. That's gonna be hot, don't want to touch that. Save those. You don't get new ones with the kit. If you jack up the opposite rear part of the body, it'll allow the drivetrain to droop as much as it can. Now you want to do this move, push it down, try to get that spring out. Do the old twist-a-roo. Woo, that's nice. So the new one in, there's the spring perch, and then there's a little receiver spot up here. You want this flat part going up. We're gonna have to take this connection off. It's in the way. I'm sure there's a way to do it without doing this, but I don't know of a way to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and say you can't even do this job without one of these. We take the, you know, whatever this thing's called, to get that just out of the way so we get the spring back and then up into position. Alright, and just rotate this bad boy until he sits in his little house. He's happy. Looks like he's pretty happy up there too. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
That's what we're doing. Remember the nut and the lock washer go towards the outside. Once you take that little shock compressor off, you're on the clock because this thing slowly starts expanding. Your job is to just get that bushing on first, let it guide itself into place. If it gets stuck or anything like that, just compress it down and just let it go. Or just hand tight down here on the bottom. This third member, what do you call it? Third member? Throw it down in the comments if you know what that thing's called. I think it's a Pitman. No. PANHARD bar. We got plenty of threads up here. Put the top of the bushing on. Comes with this extra, I don't know what you call this, whatever this thing is. You don't need it because there's already seats for the bushing. Thanks, Mitsubishi. Throw that bad boy on there. Tighten this bad boy with your hands. And then this thing will start spinning. This is a 17. See it spinning? So, I got these little needle nose. I guess they're vice grips. Ideally, they're gonna grab onto that little nub. Mama, we're looking good. They say do 3 turns. That's what the instructions say. Once this whole assembly starts spinning. Speaking of everybody being happy, this guy is not. Check out my next video for the secret on how to do this. Just kidding, the secret is just having all 4 wheels on the floor. I have the bolt coming in from where the wheel is. It might be easier to do it the other way, but my theory is I want to have a nut on this side because if I ever have to take this thing off, I want to heat up the nut And there's a brake line right there, so I don't want to heat up that brake line and snap that brake line in half. We're getting close, so I'm going to throw this lock washer in there. Throw this bad boy right up. Alright, now that everything's on the ground, we want to tighten this up. Just like all the other shocks, there's a 14 mil lock nut. Probably spin it off just by hand, like all the other ones. Just to get the bottom one off, you probably need to lift up the knuckle a little bit, otherwise this whole thing will just start spinning. Top off. It's two 17s. Get the bottom one off. I want to save these. These are important. Got that bad boy out. I think the best way to get this out is to push the bottom and drop it through the lower control arm, and then it comes out. You got to compress this, push this short end on the ground. Okay. We're on the clock. Oh, we got a little bit of time. We got all the bushings back on. This all twisted up, just like with the other one. After you've completely compressed the shock, go ahead and throw in the bottom bolt, and that way you can kind of maneuver it. Once it fully extends, it's really hard to get the bolt in down here. So do that before that makes its way all the way up. We're just gonna tighten this, you know, reasonably tight. You know what, the car's, it's under load, which means that, yeah, it's under load, so we can tighten it all. That, this guy's tight, that's tight. We got the torsion bar. This is the adjuster bracket, basically holds it into place. It's also connected down there. You don't need to fool with anything down there. Don't take anything off on the front. We're only messing with the thing in the middle of the car. There are two nuts up here. We're gonna back that top one off. Obviously there's a lot of grit and grime. I hit this with the wire brush a little bit, and I hit it with some penetrating fluid. It should come off pretty easily. And once we get this top one off, we will back up this one and we'll get this off. We're gonna measure roughly how tall this thing is before we take it off. That way we can have just a bit of reference. Let's say 3 exactly from the top of this brace. That's what we'll shoot for. So we're gonna break this lock nut off. If you just try to spin this, you'll spin all day long. This one is very important. You wanna save this. Now we can start on the other part. This one's a lot easier. This is what we're working with. It's connected down there. So you're gonna take the whole thing, go this way. This is basically what's going on in the car. And then that crossbar sits right here. So save all that, that's important. Down. Ooh, look at that, I like that. That's a lot of grease. It's a good sign. So they have this white business with that line. And then the white line extends all the way down. Basically, that mark I turn into a line and into that line all the way here. This side, you always want that one going in the same way. These guys, this is where you'll fool with the height adjustment. So technically we're gonna have to index this a little bit. If we want it to go a little higher, pull that out, pull both these off, put both these on this new one, get the boot guard, whatever this is. Get that on first. I'll use my own grease. That's looking pretty good. In theory, that black line should line up with that. It sits on the car like this. We want it to go just a hair, we'll call it 1 notch higher. We want it to go 1 more. There we go. That's pretty good. I feel pretty good about that. So swap the other side too. We'll re-grease that real quick. That's probably all we'll need for that. We're gonna back it up just a little bit so we can see our line when we get it back in the car. There's a little notch essentially pointing toward the center of the car. That's what you want the line to line up with. So that's indexed up front. Checking our white mark on the black mark. There's really only a handful of ways that this is going to work. For whatever reason it's not fitting on, that means you're off the tooth. And it's wanting to push back because I shoved a bunch of grease in there, which is fine. Fit. There's the main nut and this assembly. He's just on by a couple threads. I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes trying to tighten him up. It for real, it takes forever, but if it's indexed properly, you shouldn't have to redo it. Check the ride height. This side of the car jacked up. It was pretty easy to do. I think it took me 5 hours, but that was with filming, so you might be able to do this in 3 or 4 hours. If I didn't have that propane torch, I don't even know if I could have done it. Removing that PANHARD bar was kind of a pain. Front's noticeably higher. The ride's definitely smoother. The shock absorbers definitely soak up a lot more than the old ones. I got a little scared. Didn't think I was going to be able to get it out of the garage, but it was totally fine. Anytime you fool with your suspension, you should probably get an alignment, so I'll probably go get that tomorrow.